Let's hear from Manchester City fan Stephen. Stephen, what do you make of all this? People chucking stones at you right, left and centre.
Where do we begin with Simon Jordan? I've got to tell you, Simon Jordan, you're going about your 50 million quid that you lost at Crystal Palace. Go back all that time, right to the end of your days at Crystal Palace. You've lost 50 million quid. You're facing your boxer shorts are so tight now you can feel it. And then an Abu Dhabi mob come in. The same Abu Dhabi mob that now own us came into you and said, "I tell you what, we'll buy Crystal Palace off you and we'll give you your 50 million quid back, Simon." You're going to tell me, Simon, that you're going to turn down that deal?
You don't know what I would and wouldn't do, and I'm not entirely sure.
It's a fair question.
No, but you don't, Stephen. If you want to attack my arguments. And if you're suggesting that there's a hypocrisy about my preparedness to sell to the Middle Eastern consortium, well, we'll never know because I wasn't in that position. But I do have some tragic things in my life, Stephen, which are principles, and I'm not a hypocrite because I stand by my principles. And it's likely that I would have grave reservations. But put me in that situation, put me to the test. I don't know. But what you guys at Man City do is you ignore all of the praise. All the praise that you get from people like me, and you focus on the criticism. And you want to get over this inferiority complex. You've got a wonderful side that's winning wonderful things, but there are questions about your ownership. Why don't you grow up and get over it?
No, Simon, you don't give us praise. You just praise the football team, which you can't avoid praising. They're a great football team,
Indeed.
No matter what. But you do nothing else to give us any praise. You just do that as if to say, I'm being fair.
Well, what other praise should I give you then?
Go back to the question I asked you. Would you sell the football club? You know exactly what you would do.
Well, you don't know me, Stephen, so you can't make that observation any more than I know you. So you don't know. I just gave you an answer to your question about principles and morals. And of course, if you're Groucho Marx, you change your principles and morals and get a new set. But the point is that you asked me a question, I gave you an answer. You don't like my answer, and now you want to misrepresent what I've said.
No, you didn't give an answer.
I did.
Jim.
I said unlikely.
Jim, did you give him an answer?
Yeah, I did. Pay attention.
Jim.
Pay attention. Stop looking for confirmation bias and listen to what I said.
I tell you what, Stephen. Ask him the question again.
At the end of your time at Crystal Palace, when you're facing 50 million quid going down the Swanee, the Abu Dhabi mob that own us go into your ground and say, we will pay you your 50 million quid back. We want to buy Crystal Palace. We want to develop them. We want to take them on. And there's your 50 million quid. And you're going to go, well, I'm not sure about that. Tell me, what was your answer going to be?
Well, would you have spoken to them, Simon?
Depends upon
you would have spoken to them.
Depends upon the agenda of the consortium and what their motivations were and what the benefit to the football club was and what I looked at, full stop. It's a hypothetical question. And, of course, if you frame it within the confines of my pitiful 50 million quid that I lost and how I carp on about it, then if you frame it in that way, then it's a difficult question to answer because ultimately when you're grasping for straws, you grasp for straws.
Stephen, do you object to Simon suggesting that your owners are image laundering?
Image laundering. This is really funny. You look at the world and you look at football, you look at Manchester City and you look at the Premier League in world situations. Do you think the Abu Dhabi mob want to launder their image using a Manchester
sport?
Football?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Using sport, using one of the most influential platforms and prisms to be able to create messaging and gain access into environments you wouldn't get to before. Yeah.
No. Go on the streets of Mayfair and ask 1,000 people who own Manchester City, what country did they come from? And I tell you what, I think you'll get 600 or 700 people who've got no idea where they come from. They might say the Middle East in a general way. They won't know where they come from. That's a nonsense statement.
Stephen, does your football club and being a fan of it make you proud?
I am unbelievably proud of the way they've run that football club. Unbelievably proud. I think they've done a fantastic job. Yes, there are questions and they've got to give answers to the questions that are coming up.
Which they don't want to do. And which they more often not don't do.
And Stephen, what do you make of Trent's comments going into this match at the weekend? Although City have won more titles than us, our trophies mean more to us and our fan base because of the situations at both clubs financially.
Well, I tell you what, my first cup final was 1976 and Dennis Stewart scored a great goal and we won it. I love that just as much as I did the Aguero moment, and just as much as I love the moment last year.
Stephen, did you hear me defend Manchester City against that ridiculous assertion from Trent Alexander-Arnold that it meant more to Liverpool? Did you hear me defend your fans? Did you hear me talk about moments for you when Paul Dickoff, who played for me? Do you know who my favourite player was when I grew up? Peter Barnes, playing for your side. I have no bias and no agenda against Man City, but I do have concerns about your ownership model, and I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, but Simon, you come from an era where you all had your belly tickled by Manchester United.
No, not true. Not true at all. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see teams doing well.
Let Stephen respond, Simon.
Mancini came into Manchester City and he said, I do not understand the people in this country. They go to Old Trafford, they get the belly tickled, they call Sir Alex, and then they go home after getting a 4-0 drubbing. He said, I'm here to change that, and he did change that, and people don't like it. Everybody was comfortable with Sir Alex being Sir Alex and Man United being Man United. They're not comfortable with Man City being
that.
I
mean, but Mancini's a real poster boy for what's good in football, isn't he? Leaves the Italian national side to go and get some Middle Eastern money when it suits him. I'm not sure that's a good example of why we should be looking at Mancini as someone to be revered.
Stephen, before you go, do you win the Premier League?
Oh, gosh, that's a tight one. I think Liverpool could do it, but we've been there before, so I'm hoping it's going to be us.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.